Alright, since I've had a few days to calm down after my adventure with this wonderfully complicated Gilera transmission, I decided, for the sake of posterity and contributing to the general pool of knowledge out there, I was going to make a little video about how to get this thing together, because it's not as easy as your average transmission. Nothing unusual about the transmission itself. You've got your tree of 4 gears on each side, yada yada yada. Now, but the tricky thing is that your shift drum, which is right here, is geared to the indexing mechanism on the shift lever. So, in order to get this thing together working properly, everything has to be put in the same gear. Now here's the fun part. Here is your shift lever, right? See those little spring-loaded pawls? If you slide this thing out of that ring gear right there, those pawls and those springs go across the room, and I have on at least 2 occasions had to crawl on my hands and knees to find them. So, I have the circlip and the cover washer off of it so you can see them. So this slides into here, and see there's a spring inside. The 2 little points are right there. That little post has to go directly in between those. And the best way I found to do this is the timing mark is right there when this is set in 4th gear, which is how you want to put it together. So that has to be in 4th gear. I made a little scratch there to show where it goes after I finally figured all this crap out. And if you slide this thing out of here again, ping ping, you'll be looking for those springs till bedtime. And this will go over top of that, and the circlip will go on the outside like so. And again, nothing keeps this thing in here except the other half of the case. So when you're lowering this on, you have to hold that from the outside. If it drops out of the little frame below it, the pawls pop out, you're out of sync, your gears will not be in the right place when you push the lever. You can see my wonderful new bearings in here. This is a double sealed one, but I ripped out the other seal on the other side because there is a path up here, presumably to let oil get to the open face of the bearing. So I unmasked it on the other side. I left this one sealed because the oil seal on that side is toast. That's where the mouse PA'd out. You can read about that earlier in the post. And here is the final drive bearing that's also been replaced. It's open race because it's got a seal on the other side, and might as well leave it exposed to engine oil. So now to get the shift drum in the proper place, you can see these little dents here. That's 1st, neutral, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. We want to put it together in 4th gear. So this little dent has to be lined up with the spring-loaded pawl right here. That's what holds it and locks it in the right place. You can see it drops into that hole. There's a little spring beneath it. So you have to put this whole thing together as a cluster with the shift forks engaged on the proper gears, and with that 4th gear nubbin at the top there. And when you drop this thing on, again holding this tight towards the outside, you might have to wiggle it a little bit so it engages with this. If it engages with that one tooth off, your transmission will not work right, and you'll be splitting the whole thing again, which is just a picnic. So anyway, that is the only unusual thing about this transmission so far. It's one thing that Honda definitely has up on the Italians, is their transmissions are, despite being similar in the whole shift drum, shifter fork, the indexing and ratcheting mechanism in this bike leaves a little bit to be desired as far as final assembly goes. I had to take my Honda motor apart and have it back together in 20 minutes. This thing, no way. I don't think I would ever do it again if I could avoid it. So anyway, and there's your kickstart mechanism. That was pretty easy. It's a similar thing with a little pawl and a catch, and that gear freewheels when it's going forward, and it kicks on when you lock backward. Very similar to how this works. It's got the little frame, and the pawl's half in the frame, half in the gear, and it ratchets back. So anyway, that's that for now. I gotta make my gasket, oil everything up, and I'll have this thing back together and be ready to put the clutch on, and the head, and the lifters, and the valves, and blah blah blah. Alright folks, have a nice day. Happy wrenching.